Hi, it's Jamie Smart here with another Clarity Pro case study. And I'm joined today by one of my favorite people to speak to. We met a few years ago actually, it was on the first day of my Clarity certification training. But Christine is also one of the founder members of Clarity Pro. And one of the reasons I love talking to Christine is her story is just so inspiring. And you may have heard I did a session with her a few weeks ago as kind of a follow-up to a chat we'd had 3 months ago. But then some stuff happened, which we're going to be talking about in this, which neither of us expected, but which speaks to just the power of finding your voice and sharing this understanding in the way that makes sense to you. And one of the reasons I love talking to Christine is because she is exactly like that. She shares this in the way that makes sense to her. And she's a coach, and I'm really delighted to have her with us. Welcome, Christine.
Thanks, Jamie. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. And where I love to start these is just to ask if you could tell us a little bit about your work and what first sparked your interest in the principles.
To begin with what first sparked the interest was my own family's mental health. Growing up with, I think I've said this before to you and on here, that my mum she didn't come out for 10 years. My sister had her OCD, so it was just, that was normal.
Your mum didn't come out for 10 years. Do you mean she didn't go outside? She stayed at home?
She just stayed at home for 10 years and had electric shock treatment. I had everything. Like we lived with that for most of my childhood. So I was always interested in why, well, as I got older, not as a child, I didn't know it was any different as a child. That was just how things were. So as an adult, it was wondering, how could I help? But it sparked a big interest, wondering, why did I grow up in a household and like I'm not affected by this at all, but my sister felt she was, and I had a lot of answers I needed for myself. So and also I was also in a job helping people lose weight, so I got to kind of see it wasn't about the food, that there was usually something more going on, and I felt as if I would be better at that job if I understood why they behaved as they did, and where did the beliefs they had that they were supposed to live these lives where they weren't healthy. And there was so many limiting beliefs people had that kept them overweight, kept them unhealthy, and unfortunately some people even lost their life because of the beliefs that they had. So that was,
you know what, that would be for another time. That would be a fascinating conversation to have, just about what things you've discovered in that domain. In fact, we're going to be doing a Clarity Pro module on physical health, so maybe we'll do it around that one. So so what sparked your interest in the principles and in doing this work with people?
I'll be honest, the kind of principles I stumbled across just by accident. Like I knew I wanted to help understand the mind and things, but I hadn't heard of the principles. So I just enrolled in a couple of coaching courses where they kind of scratched the surface of it a bit. Like I could understand that it was, you know, how we think can alter the behaviors of people or the beliefs we have. But I knew it wasn't just enough. I needed more. So I really kind of started to do my research. And I looked for about a year at lots of different things. And then I came across your book, and I think I came across an interview on Facebook with somebody else. And then the more I saw, the more you always say you don't give someone the insight or whatever. Like I knew when you were speaking, I could see that for myself. Like I knew that was true because I could see where it was true with my mum, my sister, and myself. So it really spoke to me, and that's where I got in contact with you and said I would like to come along to be a clarity coach, and that's where it began. So, but I did a lot of research before I came.
Right. Well, and one of the things I love about your story is that when you, that first weekend we met and you had insights that and realized that there was nothing actually wrong with your sister or your mom or anything like that. But then you didn't go home and start coaching them or anything. You just were showing up, being yourself, seeing what you've seen and connecting with them, and things started to change. That, to me, that's so inspiring, because it's not like your mom and your sister had enrolled on a course to learn how to do this. What's your, as you look back at that that first experience, you know, with your sister and your mom, what is it, what's your sense now as you look at what happened?
Do you know, I wish I had known how important that was going to be to me, because now that's how I work all the time, is just speaking to someone like with what I've seen and what I know, and knowing that they know that too, like knowing within them that they have the capacity to see this as well. Before, I used to get caught up in the what am I going to say, how am I going to make them see this, and I think it was so like important for my mum and my sister, because I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing riding on it. It was just a nice connected conversation. So I also know the connection I have with the people I help's massively important as well. So that the kind of feeling we have when we're together to just create that space for them to see things for themselves. Where I think in the early days, I was trying to think, how am I going to cure these people? And what, do you know, what technique do I have in my toolbox today? Or so I trust how this works, and I trust that they have everything I have to see this from themselves. So just getting that connection with people and getting a nice space for them to, we don't get that a lot in life. It's very rushed, it's very fast, and it's just a kind of slowing down. So I know I'm still helping people lose weight, and I really trust that they know themselves how to do that. So sometimes it's just saying, do you know, do you believe that really in your heart? And they're like, no, I don't. I probably don't. Or it's just an easier conversation. It's just, I trust that they've got it.
That's so well, and to me that's everything, because I meet a lot of coaches and folks who want to share this understanding, and they're working on trying to, you know, how I talk about it and how the stories they tell, whatever it might be. But the thing that does all the heavy lifting is knowing that the other person already has it, and knowing that that's where it's going to come from. It does so much of the heavy lifting for you. Yeah. So since that weekend, since that insight and everything, what's the journey been like for you? Like, what does that look like, and what sort of results have you seen, Christine?
Oh, well, there is, like, I totally trust the results. Like, I do. There's things that I say, wait till I see where I am. Oh, hold on. This sits on my coaching table. I don't know if you can see it. It's a wee baby. Oh, no. So this is Sawyer. His mum's just about to have another wee baby. So she came to me thinking she couldn't have children. She had been diagnosed with everything. She had a big bag of charms that she carried to keep herself safe. And now, like, while we were on that journey, she gets so healthy. She heard things really, really quickly. Like this.
Now, when you say she'd been diagnosed with everything and she carried a bag of charms to keep herself, what do you mean?
Well, she was told, you know, she was bipolar, and she had severe depression. Everything, anxiety, depression, bipolar, OCD, like all of these things. And probably because of the health she had, because she was always in poor health, they'd been trying to have children for such a long time. And she heard something probably in the first visit, just when I said, what's in your bag? Because it was like a rucksack. And she was like, oh, this quartz stone keeps me safe from this. And like all of the things she believed. And we had a chat, and she saw things to be true very quickly. Even just when she said, you know, I wake up and I feel like such and such. And then I think, and I had said, well, you wake up and like there's the creative power of thought, and then you feel something like that happens first. And she was like, oh, I thought I felt something, and then I thought something, or I thought it worked the opposite way of that. She couldn't see, and she was like, she could really start to see that everything she had believed and everything she carried, that it was a story she'd been told a lot, same as my mum, you're ill, you won't be any better. Lots of people had told her that, but she saw things really quick. I gave her your book as well. And then I think after a month, she came in and she was like, I think I'm going to have a baby. Like, she was in for IVF, and I was like, oh my goodness. It was like the longest pregnancy ever, because we knew from the beginning.
Right.
And now, as I say, I've helped her lose 50 pounds. She's really well. She had a wee baby. He's 2 now. And I think this week she's due her second one.
Amazing.
So it says on the back there, Sawyer, 13th of the 2nd, 2018, aka the 3 Principles baby.
I love it. Well, and as you know, my vision is of a world where children are born, a generation of children are born to adults who already know this stuff. So they're growing up with adults who already know they're not broken, they don't need fixing. But what hit me partway along was, oh, it's already happening. And that baby is an example of it. She or he is a boy or girl?
A boy.
Or he's going to grow up in a home where the adults already know the truth about who we really are and how our experience is created. Just like you and me were brought up in homes where people already know about germs and that sort of thing. And it's just, I just find it really, really inspiring. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is, a couple of weeks ago, I re-released our conversation from a few years ago. Yeah. And then a few days later, I got an email from someone saying, hey, I heard your interview with Christine. I've been exploring the principles for ages, but I think she could help me. I think she's the person who could coach me. Will you connect us? So I put you two together. And I mention that because I was using it as an example, actually, on the Clarity Pro Insight Path, which are kind of the stages we go through on that journey. The shining stage, the description is, people are drawn to my presence and awaken to their true identity. And to me, that's an example of it. Like, she heard you speaking and something touched her heart. And so she reaches out to me. I put you guys together. But she was resonating with your message and the way that you said it, because you were being yourself rather than trying to come across in some certain way. It's that authenticity of finding your voice. So I just wanted to say that and to hear your take on that, basically. Yeah,
I mean, like, that was even a couple of, I don't know, was it a year and a half ago? I'm not even sure when we first released it. Or
the interview, I think it was, believe it or not, I think it was actually 2017. So like 3 years ago.
Yeah. So just the very fact, like, and this like lady heard it, and I asked her, like, I replied to her and said, "Do you want to jump on a Zoom call and we'll just see what's happening, just a chat, not a signing up, not a just let's connect and see what's happening." And I just asked her kind of what she had heard, and she did say the certainty as well, that I would like to feel as peaceful or content or sure in life is kind of what you sounded like you had found for yourself. And even that's been a learning curve. Like, I know I said we would speak about this, because you asked what's changed from the beginning, and the answer's everything, because I finished Clarity with you have to have a niche, and you have to have, like, I'll coach you once a week. You'll probably have anxiety, but I don't coach children. And I had all of this kind of rules and things. I don't know where I made them up. And even this time, the lady said, could we kind of work intensively? Like, I've got lots of time. And straight away, my mind went, oh, I haven't done that yet. And We do have still lots of thinking about things, but the difference now is I kind of get it. And then I even had a conversation with yourself, and I just emailed her back and said, wow, I haven't actually had intensives, but I would be so excited to work that way with you. And she's like, so would I. So that's what it's just being open to things. And so like I coach in so many different ways where I would never have known it was in the future, Jamie. Like meeting Louise on Clarity, we've had events that just kind of came out the blue with people asking, are you going to do an event? Before we knew it, there's a 2-day event. And
oh, this is Louise Adale.
Yeah, and like we're doing another one because we never knew there'd be a pandemic and COVID-19. So everybody kept saying, when are you doing another one? When are you doing another one? We were like, well, it would have to be online. And it would. So all of a sudden we're like, right, that's landed in our lap. It's online now. This has showed up. Who would have known it would be online? So we're deciding on a date in September for, and I kind of trust things to be showing up now. Like that I didn't even know. I'm coaching children now because like people have asked, and I was like, why would I not be coaching children? My son had panic attacks. So I don't box myself in anymore. Like I can kind of, if you say what's next for you, I think the answer would be, I don't know. That's quite exciting. I have no idea. Like I like that. I was always trying to know the next step. Like it's just one step at a time for me now. Just like it's not what am I going to be doing in a year. I feel the pressure of that. It's just like, wow, what would be my next step if I was to take one? That would be it.
You know, speaking of next steps, you were one of the founder members of Clarity Pro, but you were already doing this work with people and already had been deeply impacted by it. What was it that inspired you to get involved when we kicked off Clarity Pro to be part of this community?
Well, I've always said to even just to keep part of the community, because that's been such a huge big thing for me. So I get what I get from yourself, and I get everything I get from all of your program material and everything, diving deeper again and deeper again, because I feel as if I'm on a continuous learning curve. Like I love to listen again and hear it in a different way to what I did 2 years ago, because I know things differently now. So I could probably listen to the first time if it was recorded the first time I was on Clarity, but I know I would hear it differently.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. One of my favorite books is by a guy called Nassim Taleb. He said, a good book is worth reading a second time. A great book worth reading a third time. And he said, a lousy book's not worth reading at all. And I kind of feel that way about programs and stuff. Like we like the novelty of listening to it once, but often it's when we go through a second or third time that we get the most from it. So go on.
I was going to say, and sometimes the first time I'm listening so hard, like where I'm further along in the journey and I'm listening. I think you always say like you listen to some music, where and I'm like, oh wow, that's I see that now. I maybe just didn't quite see it then, but the more I deepen my own understanding, the more I'm like, hear that in a totally different way now to what I did the first time. So like I like to revisit it, but I love the community because it's been like, for instance, me and Louise, just to have somebody to say, shall we do an online course together, and have that person that's become a really good friend that's on the journey with you, that if you have a wobble, you can phone them and say, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And they're like, right, let's have a chat. That's worth its weight in gold. I really value that.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of the things a lot of people say to me is that they make friends for life when they join this stuff. It's very, very powerful. The other thing I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about the woman who had the little boy. Yeah. What are some of the other impacts you're seeing with your clients? What are the kind of transformations and results that you're seeing people have?
Oh, well, I've been quite lucky, even if I use the event with me and Louise. So we did that, and about 20 of the people I knew, because they were staff. There were some of my staff where I helped people lose weight. So I kind of saw them after it every week. Like I was able to just be in their lives, where sometimes maybe if you do an event and it's strangers and you might not ever see them again. So I did. And it still surprises me. One of the nurses, she's had a massive big promotion to, I think it's grade 8 something, in charge of the hospital. And I was just having a coffee with her, and I said, "Oh wow, isn't that amazing?" And she said, "Yeah, that's that day. That was that event with you and Louise." And I was like, "What, your promotion? That was 2 years ago." She said, I heard things, and I realised, like, why this is the same for all human beings. So why can I not go for a promotion? Like, it doesn't matter how many times I've been married, like, because she had all these stories, you know, if I haven't succeeded in my marriage, I'm probably not going to succeed somewhere else. And she's like, yeah, I would never have gone for that if I hadn't went to that event and listened to who we really are. And I can still get nervous and things, but I don't worry about that anymore. It's like, wow, I was quite nervous there, but I still go and do what I have to do. And so we've seen promotions. We've just seen people really happy in their lives, where they're like, I'm so content now, Christine. Like, Louise and I are still like, wow, one day, 20 people together, is that possible for that kind of change? But it is, and it's why they're keeping asking, when are you coming back again? Like,
well, and it raises a question for me, because I know a lot of people. Well, it's funny. I once did a poll in the Clarity Life group, asking coaches and therapists and change workers, what's the number one thing that you think would have the biggest impact on your ability to make a difference to your clients? And the number one answer was rock solid confidence in my ability as a coach and certainty in my ability as a coach. Bottom of the list was my answer, with one vote from me, which is rock solid confidence and certainty about your client's capacity for insight. And so what I wanted to, I hear that over and over again in what you're saying, Christine. What I wanted to ask you is, how does it feel going into a session with an individual or with a group of people, absolutely knowing that they've already got it?
Oh, it changes everything, because I used to feel intense pressure when I didn't know that before. Mm-hmm. Like, I used to be sitting 2 hours before a session with someone, watching another video or looking up this, or and it affected my listening skills, because
yeah, well,
I find it hard to listen when I'm trying to think of what I'm going to give as the answer. Yeah. So that's not good. So now it's kind of like, I know I can go in there, and I know they've already seen it, because I can say to them, do you know, if we're talking about like who you really are, that real piece that's inside you, even just saying, can you think of a time when you felt like that? Like, have you seen that? And everybody always says, yeah, but they think it was like before my divorce, or when I was younger, before this happened to me. And it's like, no, like that's still there. Like, it can't go away. Like, but you've seen that you have that. Like, you have proof that exists within you. So that's the biggest thing for me, but it takes a load off my shoulders.
That's beautiful. Yeah, Christine, I wanted to ask you one last question before we wrap this up. And it's this: if you could go back in time to the you who was doing her research and getting ready to set out on this journey with the principles, and give her a message, what would that message be?
I think the biggest thing for me is take your time. Like, I was wanting everything. I wanted to be the best coach ever in a week, and there's sometimes, just every time I coach someone, I learn something else, I see something else. It's just like, relax. They've got everything they need. Just, you don't need to have all your ducks in order, because that grounded certainty that people said to you about the rock solid confidence, like, I still don't have that lots of the time, but I still do it. And it, like, what I have, even in the beginning. So if they've came to you, they've seen something that changed their life. So if that's even all I had, that would be enough for people. If I could just share what I had saw for myself, that's made a difference to people.
That's
Even
beautiful.
if hope,
Sorry, say that again.
even if it's just hope to say, that this is what's available to you.
Well, that's the other thing that really strikes me is I think a lot of people think they need to go from having, caught a glimpse of this understanding to being a total expert at sharing it and that sort of thing. When actually it's a journey. There are stages that you go through as you develop and learn and grow. And I'm still going through those, and it sounds like so are you. But it just feels like the best deal ever to be able to be on this journey. Thank you so much, Christine. It's a real pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
Bye.